Welcome to the NFL Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by lineups.com in partnership with DraftKings Pick6. Nate and Josh are back here with week 8 looks for you guys, 6 player props where you can choose more or less on what we're talking about here. We're going to tell you exactly what we're looking at with a pretty nice week 8 slate. And we're going to start here with a big spot for Josh Allen and the boys. Nate, what are you looking at here in terms of his passing yards?
Yeah, I mean, I expect this game to be pretty good for offense. It's definitely a game to target in multiple formats here. And the Panthers have been third in rush defense EPA. So I mean, I'm not going to fade James Cook. I think the Bills will have success running the ball. That's what they've done historically out of their bye week, is just gotten back to that. Josh Allen's also been very good out of the bye week. I mean, he's 7-0, and the Bills have scored the most points in the NFL, 220 in those 7 games. So if there's going to be this much offense, not going to worry about who he's going to target as much. I'm just going to take Joshy to get the yards here. If there's a pass plus rush yards number, I think more on that is just fine, because he's just going to be Superman here, coming off double losses and the bye week. It's a great spot against the Panthers team that, like I said, is really good against the rush, 27th in pass defense by DVOA. So some of their numbers lately skewed by playing the Jets and Dolphins in 2 of their last 3. They have not been good in the secondary. Dalton Kincaid might be back. Really helps Josh push the ball down the field. He's averaging like 15 yards per reception. And Carolina's up to the number 1 zone rate. They're at 82% to try to hide some of those secondary deficiencies. Josh Allen, 4th best rating against the zone this year, even though he's struggled at times against man.
Yeah, just don't throw towards JC Horn. You'll probably be okay against the Panthers. And yeah, this is Superman mode for Allen. I do like the rush as well for him, because they just keep not making it 30 yards. And every time that he's at, 20, 22 and a half, I'm like, great, give me 30, whatever, like just go more on his rushing if they don't get it up to the 30 number there. So I do like for him to have another, not another big game, a big game, because he has obviously I would say to a degree, let his team down. It's actually been the run game that's been more successful, especially in that loss to the Falcons. But let me get over to my boy, Courtland Sutton. I say that because I've got a lot of stock in fantasy with Courtland Sutton. And look, he's having a good year. I think more than 61.5 receiving yards against the Dallas Cowboys is why you should feel good about this, right? That's what we're saying here. It's the Dallas Cowboys defensive secondary. It's their really inability to even get a pass rush at this point too. Their run D didn't look too bad last week against a team that they knew were going to run the ball as well, and the Commanders. And so this might not be the J.K. Dobbins game. I think there's everything pointing towards the offense should be passing, and the defense is not going to be able to limit you there. We don't know if Trayvon Diggs is going to play with that concussion. We know Dallas allows the most passing yards per game anyway, and Diggs has been struggling with some injuries, obviously, since the start of the year. But if you look at Sutton in Denver since last season, and by the time we got to week 4 or 5, he struggled out the gate last year. But once he started to pick it up with Bo Nix, the rook, as we know, 77 yards per game at home, 57 on the road. Nix also kind of follows that trend of better at home, which makes sense. And if you look at 4 of his last 5 this season, more than 62 in terms of at home, 62 right in terms of the receiving yards prop that we have for him right now. So I think this is going to be a good one for him. I think this is going to be, maybe not a super close game, but I do think that Dallas is going to be able to move the ball as they're healthy now enough to force Bo Nix to have to throw.
Yeah, I mean, that Dallas run defense at least looked good for 1 week, at least at home. But I know J.K. Dobbins has not looked good the last couple. So yeah, and there's a lot of talk about just Sean Payton kind of letting Bo Nix cook, right? It's the Russ Wilson narrative all over again, except this dude's actually entering him. But yeah, just let the man throw the ball
downfield a little bit more in the last couple of weeks, since that was the big knock against them. And Sutton has been that guy. He had missed a couple of throws, but he's got a bunch of unrealized air yards in the last 2-3 weeks.
Oh yeah, and for that reason, I was looking at Marvin Mims too. We don't have a number yet at pick 6, but interesting target there to consider in our contests. Let me get a less than pick in here. We got Rachaad White, the bell cow for the Bucks for now, but not really a bell cow. In fact, he is much more of a receiving back. And we expect Bucky Irving to miss, which is why this number is at 62.5. But even when teams have gone light front against the Bucks, he's 35th in carry rate, is Rachaad White. He's still running 17 routes per game. He's at a 72% route rate with Bucky Irving out these last 3, and he's carried 13.7 times for 48 yards per game. I mean, some of that is game flow. Yes, they've been down or in shootouts at Seattle, at Detroit. Those are really good run defenses. Even in the one, though, that they were in control, which Rashad did approach this number. The Bucks, they still mixed in Sean Tucker, 6 carries, 25 yards, 23% of the snaps. So that's one of your outs here for as far as Rashad going less than this number. I mean, the Saints are at home. They might be pretty feisty, to be honest, against a Bucks team that's still really, really banged up, but still passes the ball a ton. I mean, they're fourth in pass rate on the road. Rashad White is a better receiver than runner, which is why he has 87 receiving yards in 3 starts against the Saints in his career, just 42 rushing yards per game. Saints are also much better against the run than the pass. They're ninth in DVOA defense overall, and they're just better at home in terms of shutting down the run.
They're 6th in EPA against the rush.
Yeah.
Is New Orleans. They are 25th EPA against the pass. Total EPA on defense, actually a bit of an uptick this season from with a projection, but still bottom like 15 in the league. I look like this is just not what he does. I actually thought we'd see some more Sean Tucker. We haven't. And so as far as the run game goes, that's always a possibility. Like he comes in vulture 6 to 7 carries instead of the like 3 that he's had recently. He also actually is a good receiving back. I still don't get why Sean Tucker doesn't play, but he's always lurking back there with no Bucky as that second option for them as well. So that could come into play here for the Rashad White look. But before I get to my second look here, Nate, I did want to make sure that everybody knew that new customers to DK Pick6 play $5 at least or more, get $50 instantly in bonus picks with your first play here on DK Pick6. So make sure that when you do sign up, you use the code that we've got there for you in the description of the video, and you will get that nice little bonus when you sign up. And if you do have a gambling problem, make sure you do hit up, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Let's talk about Danny Dimes, my boy. If this was yards, I would not do this only because out of respect for this man. And look, he's awesome now. He's been great. He's just not going to be needed in that way in this game against Tennessee. This is the best offense in the league. Great. Jonathan Taylor's on it. I don't know if everybody remembers that. He's doing his thing, winning people fantasy leagues. Rushing champ looks pretty good for JT this year. Just keep riding that. Maybe give some backup rushes as well. Like we saw what the Pats were able to do once they just got the ground game going and stopped turning the ball over at the beginning of that Tennessee game and giving Cam Ward opportunities. It was done, right? And I don't really respect this Colts defense enough to start like making predictions about it, but I do believe in the offense, and I do believe what Shane Steichen's doing with both units. So I am going to not necessarily worry about the yards here. 30 attempts is unnecessary for Danny Dimes. He is going to be usually at around 30 to 32 in a tight game, but they're very happy to have him throw the ball 24, 25 times and CJT with 17, 18 carries and just really wrap this thing up by like the second and beginning of the third quarter. So by that point, like by the second half, I just don't know that he's going to need to have more than 10, 12 attempts in that time frame. So that should really help us stay less than 30 and a half pass attempts.
Yeah, and you see people are agreeing with you because it's 29.5 at the moment at Pick6. Some of these picks are moving in the direction of our logic because, I mean, yeah, you just look as simple game log, 18 of 25 again at Tennessee. Those are season lows for Danny Dimes. The Tennessee secondary has been really exploitable to the deep ball. I mean, granted, I played Drake May, who can do no wrong here in New England right now. But last week they lost L'Jarius Sneed, who was not playing well anyway. And so they have no real plus corners. So Jones could, when you take when you're hoping for less than 30 attempts, it's because you're getting huge completions, and Jones can certainly do that in this offense.
Yep.
This number also moving. It's 63.5 as we speak for Drake London. Still take more than that, though. I mean, I probably would take more up to 66, 67 here against the Dolphins. No D in Dolphins right now. Their defense is probably the worst in the league as far if you account for, lack of leadership in general, top to bottom organizationally. It's just an absolute mess. And you're talking about
sorry, just so you know, numerically, it is also the worst defense according to total EPA. So
yes, by any metric. But the point is, like, he's coming off a smaller game against maybe the best organization in football, your San Francisco 49ers, right? Who, despite having a bunch of fill-ins on that defense, just absolutely coached the heck out of that game, held London to 44 yards, I believe. Darnell Mooney got fed in his return. But I think the Michael Penix now back home after a loss, going to get back to his bread and butter. And we saw that after the 30-0 embarrassment earlier this season. The next two lines for London, granted with Mooney out, but 8 for 110, 10 for 158, just massive target share, the highest target share in the NFL those 2 weeks. He is still leading the NFL in first read targets. So Penix, as a young quarterback, is just like trying to get it out to him.
Yeah.
The Dolphins play man coverage more than other teams. It means he'll line up against old man Rasul Douglas, who's done well this year, better than last year, where he had a 53 PFF grade. But still, I give the advantage here to a young man who's entering his prime as a top 10 receiver easily. And it's in the dome in Atlanta. I mean, in 4 starts with Penix in Atlanta, 127 yards per game for London, who basically gets 40% of the targets anytime Penix is under center.
Imagine if Drake London was like in LA playing with Matt Stafford and Puka Nacua instead of Devontae Adams, right? Like imagine that. That's the type of receiver that we're talking about here, who has been somewhat neutered early in the year by Penix, but also right came back from a small injury and has just been peppered with targets. Like you said, Penix definitely on his first look stuff. It's like Drake London, oh, he's not open. Where's Bijan? Right. And now we might see Darnell finally come back in and play, especially from the slot a bit more because Ray McLeod has not been doing anything. But either way, this is definitely like a small wide receiver tree in general because Penix just doesn't have the ability yet to really go past like second reads. So I like the look for the guy that he's just going to sort of target with his eyes, especially. But let me close it out with T. Higgins. He's always been this good, y'all. He's just hurt. And then, Burrow was hurt. But now we have Joe Flacco to the rescue. So more than 53.5 receiving yards against the New York Jets. Man, it's tough to say that and just not cringe with how bad this team has been this year. They're okay, though, on defense. And I think that is the beneficiary. The part of that is they know teams are going to run on them because they're probably losing. So that's been a big part of why they're just stacking boxes as much as they can. But look, Chase Brown looked good against the Steelers finally, and in part because you finally have to worry about the pass, and that's helped the run. But more importantly, like they're not trying to run; they are still a pass-first offense, and now they're getting a Jets defense that's 28th in defensive DVOA against that pass. So I think we're not going to see Sauce Gardner. We saw him leave that last game with the concussion and wasn't able to return, so he might be out. I don't know how you don't have at least 2 guys walking everywhere that Jamar Chase is on the field before the snap so that you know that he's not just going to get another, 20 targets and 16 receptions like he had against the Steelers. But even when he was doing work, like T. Higgins was second in target share and was still getting close to double-digit targets in that game as well. But with Flacco now, we're talking about 2 games, 19 targets. All right, 11 receptions on those, only going to get better together. And I think he's going to be able to find all of the spots on the field against this Jets secondary at this point, especially once they do at least try to establish Chase Brown a little bit more than they have.
Yeah, and you can see this is another one that's moving in that direction as people realize how much more productive Higgins was with Flacco on short weeks, both of the times, right?
Yeah.
So up to 55.5 yards, but you could still do the 5 receptions here at a 0.9 multiplier. So that's close to the same that you'd get here at Pick6. If you think it's going to be volume more than yards, but like you said, he's averaged 79 yards so far. Again, on short preparation in tougher matchups. Now he gets the worst coach team in the NFL, and he's just going to be rejuvenated, like every Bengals player now that they have a legit quarterback.
Yeah, there is life, man. There is life. So that is all the time, though, that we have for you in this one for week 8. Definitely make sure you are subbed to the channel. Have plenty of other great content right now for you guys for this week 8 stuff with Matt Brown and the like.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-878-9777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Ends November the 3rd, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.